When did you know David was right for this role he's in now as what's the official role title again? It's what, the plumber supervisor?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
When did you
So
know he was right for that?
we created that job, I believe it was 3 years ago. And when we hired another gentleman in so that dad could kind of step back, because I
Right.
recognized, I don't have a lifetime of plumbing and dad has been in the business with the guys. And so I didn't want to miss that piece, that communication piece. So when we brought that technician in, I just saw through that guy's whole process that David actually had much better leadership skills, and he just needed to learn the business more.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so then when we brought in kind of somebody to kind of organize things with us and get us a full long-term plan,
Yeah.
David was able to learn from him. And then I think by the time that guy left late October, I knew David expressed to me at that time. He said, I want to do this and I know that I can do this. And
Yeah.
that's when I said, let's do these things over the next few months. And then I think it was just an obvious role for
Yeah.
him to step
Yeah.
into.
You said, let's do these things, because a lot of people that'll watch this are very much in your shoes, right? Maybe even smaller if they're wanting to get to where you guys are, and they go, how do I replace myself as the owner doing everything? So what did that process to kind of help David learn the business side? What did you do? Is he sitting with you in the office, looking at numbers? What did that look like?
So for that first 3 months, I remember after our conversation, I said, it's going to be very difficult because most of these guys here see you as a peer. They do
Right.
not see you as a supervisor yet. So I asked them to be patient
Yep.
and courteous in understanding their vision, their impression, their perspective is different.
Right.
So worked on kind of giving him different little tasks over that first few months, and kind of letting him take, a meeting or two and things like that. And
Yep.
so it became a little bit more natural. And then he
Mhm.
was just kind of thrust into it, the first of the year, just the way we are all thrust into supervisor
Right.
roles.
Yeah.
And I then really stepped back. I started to say, okay, I can't be here as much. I was gone a lot. So he was forced to make decisions, make calls. And then that is when I think the trust began to build for the guys that they're like,
Yeah.
okay, David can actually answer this question that I've normally called, Larry or Ginny for in the past.
Right.
And so
Right.
now we just, it takes a good year to evolve and to let your staff build trust of that person being in that role.
Yeah.
And you almost just have to be aware of the growing pains during that time, because there will be some. And then
Yeah.
David learning and saying, okay, I can make these decisions, or these are decisions I really don't feel comfortable making yet. And
Yeah.
being okay with the fact that knowing he's going to make a wrong decision or two,
Right. Right.
and not feeling like he's going to get beat up, and not feeling
Yeah.
like he needs to beat himself up, but learn through every single decision that you make that, okay, this is
Yeah.
either the way I want to continue to do it, or I need to make some changes here. And it's evolved to really work in our case. So
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's really the important note is you guys had patience, and you walked with him. You didn't just throw him and go, oh, figure it out. I got to go do some other stuff, which we hear a lot, and it's like, well, you were a great technician, but this is a totally different job. And while you might have the right skill sets for it, you still need to learn the job, just like Dave, you learned how to become a plumber, right? Dan,
Absolutely.
from your perspective, what were some of the things that were kind of difficult? If you think back, it'd be good for people to know that, hey, I've got a great technician with great skills that I think would be good in a management role. And so again, you're talking to that person. What were some things that were a little more difficult to learn than maybe you thought? And what are some things that you're like, oh, that wasn't bad at all?
Learning that, like Jenny said, that I can make decisions
Yeah,
without having to have everything go through her or Larry.
sure.
That was probably one of the biggest things. And of course, gaining the trust of the guys.
Right,
For years that we were friends.
right,
It just
right.
appeared, bouncing things off. And then I did have to spend that time to build the trust that, okay, well, you're now over me, but why should you be?
Yeah, right,
And I think
right.
over the time, we definitely have gotten to that point.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess it's kind of like you just can't act like you're the big shot, right? A lot of it's attitude and how you treat people. Right.
No, you definitely can't.
And the person matters. David is a very humble person. And I think
Yeah.
the only reason that he's been successful is because humility first. So he's
Right.
very humble in his role. He's, he's a goofy guy. And so he didn't that. Yeah. So he
Yeah.
still comes in and he's still his goofy self. And he's like, hey, I didn't change. I'm still, the guy that's going to, make a little dance or, just tell a little joke. You can't change who you are just because you're in a role, where then they just begin to think, oh, okay, you're just that now. And so I think that him being genuine to who he is, being okay, being willing to say, hey guys, I'm sorry I messed up yesterday when I told you we're going to do this. Going forward, let's do it this way. And I think they appreciate that.